everyone. Welcome to SBU-TV's Reporters Roundtable. My name is Labayewski.
And I'm Carbone. And today, this is where we talk with reporters and they talk about their stories. And today we're joined by SBU-TV's reporter Quinn Burgess.
So Quinn, what was your story about this week?
The story this week, it was about the head women's soccer coach, Melissa Sherwood. She was fired on January 28th, just about 2 weeks ago. She was fired. They didn't really give a reason, but what I found out was that when she came into the university, she had 7 people cut from the team and 5 that left immediately to the transfer portal.
Is that kind of normal, or
not really? No. With transfers, it can be at the D1 level, but when it comes to 7 cuts, I'm not really sure if that's really popular or not.
Interesting. All right, let's take a look.
28th, just 2 weeks ago, St. Bonaventure University's women's soccer team sought out a change in leadership after firing head coach Melissa Sherwood after only 1 season. This would be the 3rd coach in 4 years for the program, and after reaching out to assistant and head athletic directors for a statement on why Sherwood was relieved of her coaching job, they only said that they would not comment on personnel matters and that they're actively searching for a new head coach. I sat down with Captain Hannah Walker, an Atlantic 10 Academic All-Conference recipient, to see how multiple coaching changes can change a student-athlete's perspective.
So I think it's definitely a challenge, but I think you play Division I sports and you come to school as an athlete to grow as a student, grow as a person, grow as an athlete. And I think as they are stressful, coaching changes make you more comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think it gives everyone the chance to rise to the occasion and a new goal to chase. And it's exciting as well as it is scary, but ultimately, you just have to trust the decisions of the program and the athletic department to move forward and keep doing what you came here to do.
I had reached out to a former player under Coach Sherwood, Jasmine Sims, who played at Mount St. Mary's under Sherwood, to provide a little bit of insight on why Sherwood might have been relieved from her coaching job here as well as Mount St. Mary's. She told me that Sherwood, quote, played favorites and, quote, didn't know her limits, and that other players before her had also had a bad experience with her. While Sims was only with her for 1 year, it still can be left to interpretation why Sherwood was fired from St. Bonaventure, though the program is still looking for new coaches. For now, that's all. I'm Quinn Burgess. This is SBU-TV, new, now, and next.
So Quinn, walk me through the process of working with athletics, working with all of the staff. Tell me about it. Yeah,
so initially I got the story from one of our fellow reporters here, Danielle Clark, who you're going to see later on. She gave me the story about Melissa Sherwood getting fired, and then I immediately reached out to both athletic directors who really didn't tell me much. I mean, it was the assistant AD who actually got back to me. The head one didn't. He told me, basically just referred me to the Go Bonnies article featuring it that just said it was a change in leadership.
So nothing really of why the reason she left or anything?
No, and that really had me stuck through the middle of this week. I had an interview scheduled with one of the women's soccer players, but they had turned down the interview out of fear of comments out of context or that sort. So I was really scrambling, but instead I actually got the captain of the women's soccer team, Hannah Walker. She was an A10 academic all-conference recipient this year. Who had a lot of
person to get last
minute.
Yeah.
A lot of, and she had a lot of good stuff to say on that interview. But reaching out to athletics was a bit of a pain, just because they didn't really, give me any story elements for it. So.
Yeah. Quinn, what were some of your big finds in the story?
My big find was actually reaching out to a former player under Sherwood. Actually, one of my journalism buddies actually told me to reach out to an old player, and she gave me a lot of stuff about Sherwood at Mount St. Mary's, and apparently, she just didn't know her limits. She said she didn't have a lot of good communication skills, just didn't communicate well with the team. So.
That's good thinking, though. If you can't get somebody here, go get somebody at her old school.
Yeah.
It was at her old school, right?
Yeah, Mount St. Mary's, and it worked out great. I mean, it just added another thing to the story that really, heightened it up a little bit. So.
Now, if you had to do the story again, what would you do differently?
I would definitely try and schedule interviews a little bit earlier because, that stiffed interview really just put a damper on my whole week. But
not a good way to start the week.
Right, of course. But it all worked out. So I just got to reach out to those people.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you guys.
But stick around where we take a look at the rise of student housing and all the issues with that. We'll be right back after this.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Reporters Roundtable. My name's Sydney Labayewski.
And I'm Nicholas Carbone.
And here we have Julian MacKool. Julian, talk to us about your story this week.
Yeah, so my story was based on, since the rise of enrollment, kind of want to know the questions of how the SBU administration is kind of dealing with housing on campus with the rise of enrollment.
Awesome. Let's take a look.
University is welcoming more students than it has in years, a sign of growth and success. But with those success come many challenges, such as student housing. University leaders and officials say they are working to accommodate student living conditions. For many students, that growth is most notable in the residence halls, where common areas are turned into rooms and available space is harder to find.
You can tell it wasn't an original dorm. You know, like they converted it. I think just off the size.
Spoke with Vice President of Student Affairs, Katie O'Brien, asked her, with enrollment in St. Bonaventure increasing over the recent years, how has that growth changed the day-to-day experience for students?
You know, since my time here in 2018, we have seen the number of students that are residing on campus increase close to 200 individual students. And one of the things that has changed is constantly looking at not only how do we increase the number of students we can put on campus, because we do have a number of beds to assign to everybody. So it's not like we are short on capacity. What we are short on is the demand for what students want.
I also spoke with the director of campus living, Ursula Hertz. When asking about how has increased enrollment affected housing availability on campus, in a statement, she responded with, "We have enough housing. For people on campus, the challenge is we don't have the kind of housing that people always want. We only have 350 bed spaces in the apartments. The senior class is far more than 350, as is the junior class." Campus Living has made adjustments to staffing and housing assignments while continuing to plan for future improvements. Administrators say student feedback plays a key role in shaping those decisions. As St. Bonaventure continues to grow, university leaders say responding to student needs remains a top priority, with housing at the center of that conversation. From SBU-TV, I'm Julian MacKool.
So Julian, walk me through this process of who you interviewed, who you reached out to, all that.
Yeah, so when it came to the interviewing process for such a topic, definitely wanted to reach out to Vice President Katie O'Brien because she oversees all student affairs and operations, so she was one of the key people for that. And then as well as Housing Director Ursula Hertz, who really is the one that puts the people in the rooms and really navigates kind of that space of when people apply for housing, kind of organizing them to their proper places.
Yeah. Can you describe some of the housing options here on campus for students?
Yeah, so the housing options on campus is 82% of people currently can and will live on campus each year. And when it comes to the housing options, a lot of it is, like I said, on campus, but a lot of them are together, at least to a double or even like a single in a room like Dev or in Francis Hall. And definitely there's a lot of options in terms of that. But that's where they see some of the key challenges, like who do we put where and where do they want to go.
So then what did you learn through this entire process of the housing process?
That was definitely one of the biggest things. What I learned is really trying to organize 2,000 people into a space on campus and where they want to be, and definitely trying to find where they want to go, also fitting with other people that maybe they didn't fit with in the past. Really, it's definitely organization of a large group of people in a space on campus has definitely been a big thing, or eye-wide opening thing, definitely a process.
Yeah. And then should students expect any changes, especially due to the rise in enrollment?
Definitely there's going to be some changes. They always change every year. Just recently, a lot of the common areas in Low or even in Dev are turning into spaces for people to live in just because of the rise of enrollment.
So the common rooms are being changed into dorm rooms.
Yes.
Interesting. I don't know that.
So that's what definitely a lot of the changes are in. But also, you can maybe see an expansion on potentially more singles.
Okay.
Definitely, that's like another thing too. If not a lot of people want to live with one another, they might want to do singles as well. That's definitely was a big topic.
Awesome. Thanks for your insight.
Thank you.
But stick around with us where we will talk about the student newspaper, the BV, and a little bit about the Washington Post. We'll be right back after this.
The challenges our planet's animals are facing sometimes feel a bit heavy.
The animals haven't eaten in a day, 2 days, they haven't drank anything, they're cold, they're dehydrated.
But remember, there's good happening right now. At home.
All right, we were able to get into your unit and we have all 4 of your cats. So,
Okay. And around the world for any animal, any disaster. Search ifa.org/disaster ready.
I don't remember how it started.
go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Welcome back to SBU-TV's Reporters Roundtable. We are joined by SBU-TV reporter Danielle Clark.
Hi, Danielle. So our newspaper at our newspaper at SBU, the BV, has been around for 100 years now, and it's now down to 3 writers. How do you feel about that? Because you're a writer for the BV as well.
Very surprising, honestly, that throughout our entire campus we can only staff 3 people to write for a newspaper that's been around for 100 years and feels like a big part of our campus and our news.
What's the normal, sorry to interrupt, but what's the normal of how many writers do you guys normally typically have?
So we usually have like 10 to 12, which is small for a campus newspaper, but it leaves it so there's not so many gaps that need to be filled. Like we didn't have an opinion piece this week. I had to write 2 to make up for that. I know our editor, Chris Duty, has had to write a couple more articles just to like fill those gaps that normally other people would have done with 10 writers.
Yeah. So what's your experience been in the BV then?
Yeah, kind of like I was just saying, last semester it was definitely like downhill as people were quitting and not finding much interest in it. But this semester is definitely already a week in, having to write 2 articles a week just to fill it up. I know Professor Gilliland's class that you're a part of is writing articles for it, just like I was saying, to fill the gaps that aren't being filled up. So, but it leaves me with the question that if a newspaper that's been around since 1926 is having a hard time being staffed, if our generation values journalism at all.
I mean, I hope they value journalism. That's what my degree's in. That's what I'm going for after, college. So I hope. I mean, I still value journalism.
Yeah, I mean, same here. Broadcast journalism major. I mean, I hope to get a job in news as a reporter or something. But even if I don't, I mean, journalism enough. It's pretty broad, so I could use that really. Anywhere. So.
The Washington Post just fired 300 of their journalists, which is 30% of their staff.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And if major outlets like that are cutting journalists, it makes me wonder what's happening to smaller outlets throughout.
I know, they're not going to be able to survive with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know in a lot of places they're cutting their sports department. Like I had an internship over last summer.
Yeah.
The sports department was only 2 guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that's pretty common for a lot of places around. So.
But actually, to backtrack, I'm going to ask you a question. Why do you think people are leaving the BV?
So I talked to a student and he said that he didn't want to, the moment he knew he was done with the BV is when it went completely online and we weren't printing anymore, which makes total sense. If you spend time getting interviews, researching, writing it all out, you want to be able to hold your physical copy of your work, see it published, see people pick it up. You don't want to know, like, you never know how many people are actually clicking on the link and actually reading it. Like, what's the point?
That's part of the magic of writing for a newspaper is to being able to hold your newspaper.
And what's the point of writing if you can't even hold it and see it?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps it up for today's weekend round or Reporters Roundtable. I'm Nicholas Carbone.
And I'm Sydney Labayewski. Thanks again, Danielle.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend, everyone.